be giving the number 10 speech in the Content Communicator Manual. Inspire your audience. However, what he is really doing is testing a speech he's considering giving in the international contest at another club next month. He would appreciate any feedback that would help to make the speech into a contender. Paul has competed at the district level on many occasions and has won the Tall Tales contest, the evaluation contest, and the table topics contest twice, but has not won the international speech contest. He has been beaten at district twice by his good friend, Michael Desiderio. Maybe the third time is a charm. The title of the speech is, These Two Shall Pass. Please help me welcome Paul Bruno.
I have been blessed with a wonderful wife for over 30 years, and I have 3 fantastic sons. And when Debbie and I decided to have children, I made a vow that I would not be like my father, who was a graduate of the Mussolini School of Parenting. I also made a vow that I would not live vicariously through my children. And for the most part, I think I succeeded. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, I say for the most part because it was really difficult for me not to compare my youth with that of my sons, even though they were worlds apart. Aside from the fact that I was raised by Mussolini, growing up in Arizona is so much different than growing up in New York City in the late 60s. Now, in Arizona, we give responsibility to young men in small doses. At 16, they get their driver's license. At 18, they move out of the house and they're allowed to get apartments. At 21, they can drink and go to nightclubs. In the late 60s in New York, all of that happened on your 18th birthday. So on June 28th, 1946, it was the happiest day of my life. I got my driver's license. I got a car. I moved out of the house. I didn't have to live with Mussolini anymore. It was fabulous. I went to college. I joined the fraternity. We partied every night. I flunked out of college. I didn't care. I was having a great time. Life was wonderful. And then I got a letter. And the music stopped. And the letter said, "Greetings from the President of the United States. I got drafted into the Army. My life just started, and now I was drafted into the Army. I couldn't believe it. Life's not fair." And being in the Army in the late 60s was a lot different than being in the Army today. Today, when you see a soldier, people walk up, "Thank you so much for your service." They pick up their tabs at restaurants, at bars. In the late 60s, you were lucky if people didn't spit on you and call you a baby killer. It was a very, very different time. But most draftees like myself, we went into the service because the alternative was to flee to Canada or go to jail. And that didn't seem like a good alternative. So we went in. And after induction, when you went for training, it was pure torture. Now, consider this. So consider this analogy so you can have the right perspective of what it's like. When you have two adults consent to have relations, it's called lovemaking, and it's a very beautiful thing. But if one of those adults are forced to have relations, It's called rape, and it's horrible. And that's the way being drafted was. Day in, day out, we ran until we collapsed. Drill instructors would come up and say, "Boy, you better get your act together or you're going to die in Vietnam." Others would say, "Maggot, you got to learn how to kill, otherwise Charlie's going to cut you open like a pig." It never, ever stopped. At night in the barracks, you can hear guys sobbing. Some guys decided to go to Canada, and they went AWOL. Others got out of the service on self-inflicted wounds. And still some decided to take their own lives rather than die in Vietnam. It was a terrible, terrible time. And there were moments when I considered all of those alternatives. So why do I tell you this tale of woe? I tell you because everything great that has happened in my life, and there have been many, happened because I got drafted. Not in a million years could I have ever imagined that going into the Army would have been the best thing that ever happened to me. On the GI Bill, I got to go to college. The VA helped me buy my first house. I traveled all over the world, and I was able to develop a sense of courage, a sense of discipline that I would never gotten had I not gone in the Army. But I could have never seen that, because when we're in the middle of something devastating, it's overwhelming, and we think we'll never get out of it. And it will always be like this. When in reality, all this is life. And I heard a great quote. It said, whether things are going really well or whether they're going badly, they will change. Now, when I was 18 years old, I wasn't that wise. I blew everything out of proportion. And when I had those dark thoughts in the military, I found solace in the letters from my parents, from my friends, especially my father, who told me how he felt the same way when he was a prisoner of war in Germany at 19 years old. It was reading those letters and support from my family to help me get through to the other side. Today, we hear a lot about hardships. We hear about people who've had their homes taken from them, people who have lost their jobs, people who've had divorce, even illnesses. And when you are in that space, it doesn't seem like it's ever going to end. But it does. It ends. And if you know someone who's struggling with that, reach out. That support can be the difference between them making it and not making it. And if you're having those struggles, share those feelings, because strength can come from some very unexpected sources. We're all going to experience difficult times. We have to remember that we will get through it. And one of the best quotes of all time says, "This too